first thing I'd like to bring up is the workability of the affirmative side's plan. The affirmative side would have you believe that enforcement is going to work through media, through programs that'll put signs up, programs that will just inform the public that the beaches are not a good place to smoke at. The affirmative side also said that there is no place in the state of Florida that currently has these kind of restrictions. They're wrong. The city of Boca Raton is currently under a no smoking on their public beaches and parks restriction. The enforcement policy is much the same as what the affirmative team is planning on a statewide level. They have signs. They have word of mouth. They have people saying smoking is not allowed here. What they do not have is citations. What they do not have is patrols. They do not have anybody patrolling these beaches. I'm sorry, it's the wrong slide. Yeah, that one, no. Next one up. And if you could play the audio for me, please.
That one's checked.
Right there. Yeah, this is taken on at Palmetto Park. I mean, right in front of the lifeguard stations, and it was taken about a week and a half ago. Did my time? While they're setting up, I interviewed one of the lifeguards there, Michael Ann Gunston. She's a lifeguard station 20. She's been with the city for several years, has never witnessed enforcement of litter or smoking ordinances. She said that the only time it's an issue is when someone complains, and even then, after local law enforcement is notified, response is generally 30%.
I did some research, and to the best of my knowledge, we have not done any enforcement action on the smoking ordinance of the city parks and beaches. If you have any other questions, you can give me a call, 561-3388.
That, along with the email that was sent by a representative of the city of Boca, shows you how enforcement, in that sense, is actually ineffective. It's completely ineffective. There's still litter on the beaches. There's still people smoking on the beaches. And it's just not going to work. What I'd also like to bring up is the concerns of secondhand smoke. Secondhand smoke is not just secondhand smoke. There's actually 3 different types of smoke. There are mainstream tobacco smoke. That's the material that's drawn in when somebody is smoking. There are the remainder. Basically, depending on how they inhale and whether or not they hold their breath, active smokers retain within their lungs somewhere in the range of 40 to 80% of the mainstream smoke that they generate. The remainder of that inhaled smoke is not retained, is exhaled as potential contribution to ETS. As we explained before, that was environmental tobacco smoke. There are over 5,000 chemical components of mainstream smoke that by weight account for over 95% of the smoke. Although several of the constituents of mainstream tobacco smoke have been considered at one time or another as the prime suspect allegedly responsible for causing lung cancer, no major carcinogen in smoke has ever been established. So although we know that smoking causes cancer, we cannot pinpoint what chemical causes that problem. We are left then with ETS, small amounts of residual altered mainstream smoke particulates saturated with water vapor by their passage to the respiratory system and dramatically reduced in volatile chemical constituents, as well as some gas phase residual constituents, which in English means not all the chemicals that are inhaled by a primary smoker are distributed in the air through secondhand smoke. Currently, we do not have the technology to measure the amount of carcinogens or the concentration of the carcinogens in an open door environment, an open air environment. This makes it very difficult to identify secondhand smoke or ETS, which is not exactly secondhand smoke,
how it would affect non-smokers in a public area.
One of the main issues, one of the main problems that the affirmative's position would cause would be an economic impact on the beaches and tourism industries in the state of Florida. By restricting our beaches, we are telling tourists that they are not welcome to smoke or to be at our beaches. I understand that there's been reports stating that a smoking ban would not affect local economy.
I have a report here from, the report was published, Blackwell Publishing by Oxford. In this report, it explains the state of Iowa proposed a smoking ban and put it into effect regarding their casinos. Now, because no state has actually ever proposed a full-scale smoking ban in public places, we have to do comparative analysis. We cannot simply say, look at this beach compared to our beach. So as a comparative analysis, we are using tourism in the state of Florida as our #1 financial source to Iowa. Gambling is their #1 financial source. They're gambling their casinos. In its February 27, 2008 fiscal note concerning Iowa Legislative Services, they estimated a $140.5 million reduction in Iowa gambling facilities' adjusted gross revenue and state gaming revenue losses of $31.7 million and a consequential state tax loss of $82.4 million to $87 million. Those casino business revenue losses and reductions in state tax revenues
Now it's time for affirmative cross-examination where the affirmative will have a chance to ask the negative.
My question's for you. You said we are not welcoming the people who are smoking to our beaches. What about the people who are not smoking and are being affected by the smoke?
I would say that would depend on your term of effect. If it's a comfortability issue, then I would say that any non-smoker has the right and freedom to move into a more comfortable area. If you're talking about a health risk, I would say that we do not have technical data to actually factually substantiate that there is one.
Any further questions?
No.
No? Thank you very much. We are now moving into the stage of debate called rebuttals. There will be no cross-examination periods, merely information presented to you from alternating teams. At this point, the order of the debate switches, so we will begin with the negative.
Thank you. Cigarette butts are a major source of litter. On cleanup days, volunteers say they pick up more than 300,000 butts along the beach. That's a powerful argument. But against littering, not against smoking. A ban on smoking is both over-inclusive and under-inclusive. It is over-inclusive because responsible smokers who properly discard their cigarette butts do not contribute to litter. It is under-inclusive because irresponsible non-smokers who improperly discard food, wrappers, and soda cans are major contributors to litter. I think that we've shown without a doubt that the enforcement policy that the AFT is proposing is completely ineffective. That's been proven. And I think that the AFT team has failed to definitively show that the smoke from smokers to non-smokers is going to be negatively affecting their health. Pardon my phrasing. I think we all understand what we're saying, though. And that's really all I had. Thank you.
Okay, the affirmative is taking prep time before they go up for their first rebuttal.
Hello everyone. Today you've been hearing an interesting set on both parties on why smoking should be banned on Florida's public beaches. The negative would have you believe that education is ineffective altogether. Even though I still have to say, looking at our very environment of where we are, having this debate in a college classroom, discussing ideals, I'm not sure you could really say education is an ineffective concept, and it's also the case it gets people thinking and talking about it. There may be that one person that would still, no matter what you do, no matter what they say, they're going to throw whatever litter they want. But in the end, there will be some saying like, oh, there's that sign there that says, I shouldn't be smoking. Okay, I'll go smoke out in the parking lot. Or go smoke at home, away from where they're infringing on the rights of non-smokers to live in a smoke-free environment and have better health overall. In a response to specifically dealing with the EPA and secondhand smoke, they classify environmental tobacco smoke as a Class A carcinogen. The overall thing, not just necessarily bearing down into what's specific of the 5,000 chemicals, but overall environmental tobacco smoke. And in 2006, the United States Attorney General said there was no safe level of ETS exposure. So that's right, no safe level, not just a little bit of this or a little bit of that, but no safe level, period. What ETS would be is defined as both what's exhaled by the smoker, but also what comes from burning off the tip of a cigarette, which is where 15% of that might be inhaled and some of that 15% would be exhaled again. But there's still that 85% that's coming off the tip of the cigarette that's never even inhaled into the smoker. Environmental tobacco smoke can be linked to 3,000 cases of lung cancer is that every year? About every year. Let's see, I think that's about all I have to say. Please consider the facts.
Okay.